We're ready.
Zoom is always going, whether it's live or catching up.
Okay, so just a motion to come back into regular session, is that what we're, by Sam,
It's-
by name, very good. So, where I want to start today, I guess, is just clarification of the budget as it came out, so where this budget is coming from, I think I had a memo in August, pretty much told you where we were at, the crisis we were in, and I don't think anybody, argues that we're in that actual crisis. Daryl started off our very first joint meeting with, this is where we're at, this is how we really need to go. I think Jay actually chimed in and said, yeah, this is dire and this is the direction we're headed. And so I proceeded down that path. At the same time, it's more of a budget's plan to begin with, but this is like a roadmap of how do we make this last the least amount of time. So there's nothing personal in this budget. It's like, how do we get the numbers to correct themselves through the methods of what we actually do in the budget? So that's kind of what's behind it. So to make it real simple, Charlie and Sam were there. They know what I asked the department heads. Department heads were very great to work with, very, very gracious for everything they brought. And I was able to use that material and some of my own interjections that some liked or didn't like. That's fine. That's the way the budget office position goes. That's where we got. In the grand scheme of things, it's a plan that has no actual basis that you can prove out it will or won't do certain things, because it's your best guess as to where things are headed. And come April, we don't know if any of that is totally unraveled or if any of it's made better even. All things can happen, especially with you, when you have 3 people running for the governor. There's a lot of different things that come out in the state budget. So where we're set at today, if this budget was passed, and even if you had 11 people or whatever back in, makes no odds. When this budget passes, the idea was to get savings to be at a lower rate next year. The whole idea was to get to single digits. So suppose this budget, it's at 44.3 million right now. Suppose it's 45 million. And I don't think it's gonna quite reach there. I don't know if people might even want to get it smaller. Either way, 10% of that, you're talking less than 4.5 million. So in next year, you're gonna come up with all the money for raises, for natural progression of things that cost, like your maintenance agreements, health insurance, retirement costs. If 3 million of that was actually for, say, wage increases, you're down to just 1.5 million for the natural progressions. That's to be at 10% next year. So that's what my concern is in the entire discussions that we're having about the budget, is where do we end up next year? The idea is for this to be the higher year. Next year, you kind of get back somewhat in some kind of semblance of order of a more reasonable increase. And so I think there's a path to get below 10% next year. Do I know that for sure? There's no way to prove that. So much will happen between now and when that state budget comes out, we won't really know the answers. And anything we do today, it's 2 years before we really know the reality of what was true. We close the books and then realize what really happened, which is how we got here. When we closed the books this year, we realized what really happened. The good news is, I think, in the way that we've budgeted, especially with DSS, I think they right-sized their revenue at the percentage that fits. So I think going forward, we're in a really good spot. I think the work that Dwayne's doing is really helping, or should be helping, from what he sent us this weekend. So I don't think we're really bad off, but that 10% is iffy. And if we get our fund balance back in the meantime, it's very doable. If we don't, it's really iffy. So that's kind of where I'm gonna start. And if people have things they want to change or discuss or talk about, we'll do that. But I know the first one, I think, are you there? He's out or?
I just handed out those
Okay.
sheets.
So when we got all said and done, there was 11 people in DSS, if I'm correct. And that shows
Right.
you
Why would you wait a while?
what,
So I just want to, that you just mentioned if we get our fund balance. That would change in the future. If we get 4 million out of fund balance back, we're still gonna have to 10% this year to get to our fund balance policy.
if that's the goal is to get there, yes.
We have a fund balance policy in passed the they
And we,
violated it.
and we could change it so we don't violate it, or we could actually live by it. That's the way boards work, yeah.
So we could go through one of these like better.
Right, and that's why I didn't include any fund balance being put back. I said this is where we're at. If no fund balance is.
Bring in one
I'm sorry.
positive breakage,
Let's just
you're
start.
still gonna have to do 10%.
And you won't have that kind of breakage anyway. So that your other thing, you have still basically, when the budget message went out, it was 2 months left in the year. I've already heard from department heads how they're trying to not spend money at the end of the year. Because it used to be the old adage, spend it or you lose it and all that. Well, we've cut them so close, there's no way to, you're losing anyway. So the fact of the matter is they may be able to save some. Sales tax is headed the wrong direction lately, but that could, we could still be a 500,000 better at the end of the year. That would help put fund balance back. So there's a lot of different things that could put it back differently than what we would usually expect. But there's no reserve to go to again. That's the biggest problem. There is absolutely no reserve. So that's why the budget is done the way it is. And as Charlie said, it's draconian. I think government in general is somewhat draconian. But I don't have a problem with that. You do what you do to stay sustainable at this point. We need to survive to get to an area where we can thrive again. And this is the roadmap. And if you want to alter the roadmap, we can do that, but I don't want it to take 5 to 10 years to get back. I would like to kind of keep that to the 1 or 2, and that's the frame of mind going into this. Cassie, did you agree?
Another concern I have of cutting this budget so short is there's a lot of times during the year where people are making transfers for the budget because of breakage. You basically are eliminating any and all breakage this year, so you're gonna be going to fund balance for these unexpected.
No, you say
things
no at that point. At that point, you say no, we're
But
not
at
doing
times
that.
it might not happen. Doesn't mean it's gonna happen or not. I just wanna point that out, that you relied on breakage for years and that's not gonna be there.
And you'll always rely on breakage for years, but you're gonna have to start saying no. We've said yes for 182 new people in 10 years.
I also think that as long as I have the floor, I think that you're not really being realistic. You think you're only gonna be 10% next year, because you took out stuff this year that may have to go back in next year. So that's an additional amount. Plus, I don't see things getting cheaper. And I think that you need to be more realistic that this is gonna be a problem we're facing for several years. Not that this one cutthroat budget is gonna fix it. We're gonna be 10% next year. I'm afraid it's gonna be this problem for several years, realistically. You can't just keep chopping stuff off and say, oh, it'll be better next year, because some of that stuff you chopped off has to go back in.
Like what?
So
Tell me
there's
one
gonna
thing.
be the trainings, I mean, that's small dollars, but there will be things that will be required. You'll have cut so far and then you'll be like, whoops, that was a huge mistake. You have to be realistic to admit that cutting this budget so tight, there's gonna be mistakes and you need to add stuff back, because you have to be realistic. And I don't think by the time we bring staff up and give them raises next year, that you're gonna be able to realistically do that at 10%. You have to be realizing this is gonna be a problem down the road, gonna be continuous for a while.
Do you have a solution for that?
I don't have a solution. I'm just trying to be realistic and not sarcastic.
No, I'm just trying to see if there was a solution, something you thought should be done different to make that happen.
I'm not in favor of just laying off people. I don't think that's gonna solve the problem.
Right, and we're down to 11, and that's what I was that's kind of what I'm trying to put on the board today. Do you want those 11 people back? The other ones are pretty much vacancies from retirements that are planned.
Can you go
And
over
we're
the
positive
sheets?
that
You can go over the sheet.
Some of these sheets, I'll be honest, because I'm one of the old ones in here, I'll be honest, that I can see this one, that's pretty hard.
Yeah,
I'm just being honest. I mean, I just tried to bring a magnifying glass today, because I can't. read. And you see me standing here like this, maybe, but that, I don't know if anybody else has a problem, but I can't see it.
I'm glad you are.
I can read this one at all. Granted, I did go and get new glasses, but to have an active participation, some of this is small. And I'm
If
not
it's
gonna say
emailed
girl,
to you, you
it's
can make it
probably the
bigger.
same thing. Just messing hang.
We got an audio book.
go ahead, Dan.
So, if I look at, I look at our challenges in front of us with ESS, we have new commissioner in place. If we look at it, cut too hard, we're gonna eliminate the things that we need to do to right size the revenue and the expenses of the department. Number one, we need more fraud evaluation. We need to do a better job at qualifying people. If I notice that people have seen the sheet that's sent out, we've already made some big progress in it. It comes down to number of revenue going on in October has come down substantially in the past year. As Dwayne pointed out in an email, it's not a trend, it's a start by applying different methods and evaluating. So if we don't do that, we don't add back people to accomplish that, what are we gonna do? We're gonna end up not having time to evaluate people properly, be rushing things through. We'll have more fraud taking place because we're not going out and checking up on people. As Wayne pointed out in one of his emails, the fact that he doesn't want a single person to go out to some of these hotels to check on people. I don't blame him, been to some of these hotels. But we need to support DSS in terms of being able to do the job we need to do to reduce the amount of money going out for homelessness and other things, but yet supporting the people that really need it. We can't have people in motel rooms for a year, 2 years, or however. We need to find ways to qualify them, get them out, check out and make sure they're doing things.
Were
We see
you
a couple
referring to safety and as far as them going out, I don't know what.
safety.
Yeah, because the sheriff has said he would take any of them with him.
Right.
That was necessary, so I wanted to make sure that that
I was
was,
talking about safety reasons.
yeah, no, and that's a good thing.
So I don't think we have a choice, but add these back in to support a new commissioner, to support reorganizing and reframing what ESS does, how they do it, how they qualify and do things. Not saying they're doing a bad job, but I think based on the numbers, we have to improve that so I would, for one, would make a motion that we add these back in the budget.
We explained, yeah.
Melissa?
Yeah, I just passed out the sheets. I'd like you to know what you're looking at. First off, you're welcome.
So,
So Danielle,
so the proposed staff reduction sheet,
that's the long sheet.
this has all the departments on it that have. So really, like, the stats on the bottom will explain a little bit of what it all means. There are 28 vacant positions that were proposed to be eliminated. 31 actual layoffs, with all the departments. So the 11 that are being talked about now are only in DSS. There are an additional 20 that are proposed for layoffs. There are 12 individuals that would be bumped or retreating to a different position, which means if a layoff happens, if the position's being eliminated, there's an additional 12 people that are actually moving down to a position that they've held in the past, so it is less money that they would be making. We had 5 retirements that would not be backfilled if this was approved. And then also 2 individuals that are moving to lower level positions based on the elimination of positions. So really the other sheet that you have are just the DSS people, which are 11. But total, we do have 31 positions that would be layoffs.
And most of those are part-time and seasonal from what I see here.
Some are part-time.
Yeah, seasonal is a huge number.
Your last two, one individual moving to lower level, isn't that the same as the 12 or individuals that are bumping or retreating?
It's
Yes.
similar, the reasoning is the person has to go into a position that wasn't a cascade position. It's a position, a lower level that the person had held. There was a vacancy, so
Right.
that person can actually go into that position.
But
If there wasn't a vacancy, that person would have been laid off.
it happened to be, it's gonna fall in the same as the 12 individuals, basically, right?
Right.
Basically,
And,
yes.
the one individual moving to a new position, is that different because it's a promotion?
It's a position's being eliminated and in order to. Okay, so there's a position that, if the division directors were all eliminated, there needs to be someone else that's kind of supporting Dwayne. So we proposed a position that would be that position,
What was that title?
which was an assistant commissioner for social services
So this
position.
would be a job that would have to be created and then somebody would be promoted to it.
Yes,
Okay, just trying to understand.
And that's already all budgeted for too.
I think that does have a very slight increase, I think of like $300
Yeah.
a year.
No, I'm just trying to understand what it, I'm
What's it
trying to
going?
read between the lines.
Someone is, bumped out of a position, they go down and they bump someone else. Is it possible that they could be going to an entirely different department to bump someone up?
could be.
Not
I
to a
mean, I
different
guess that could be.
Department, I don't think
Oh,
so.
not a department,
No,
but I'm
within the
thinking within PSS, they have
Yes.
different units,
Like a
divisions. they
different
could
unit.
go into.
And some of them came
But
from.
it might be
motions
something
too.
that
Yes.
they haven't done in 10 years. Right.
Possibly.
That's actually one of the examples Dwayne told me about Friday. He does have some that are bumping into positions because they're lower than, but haven't done it in many years or never worked in that division.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be like a brand new job.
Yeah.
So what is adding these gonna do to the bumping?
What spot?
What is adding these positions back in gonna do to the bumping?
It would move everybody back into their own position.
What about for the directors? We're limiting those positions still?
Yes.
You'll have two bumps, right? One
Well,
person,
basically,
one
you're
young
just-
position.
It all depends on what's going back. So if those,
There's 11 listed on here.
these are 11, yeah, these do not include the division directors.
Yeah,
Who authorized the staffing change down there? Isn't that a board decision?
Yes.
yes.
Hasn't been done yet. Staffing. Right, hasn't been
Right.
done yet.
No, it hasn't been done yet. That's done yet. That's the way it works.
These are all proposed.
These are all proposed.
I say no. I don't know.
So
why
you don't wanna
we
put them back in?
Yeah, put them back in.
Oh.
I don't know why we're gonna cut Dwayne's feet out from under him while he's just getting them. You know, he's already shown progress.
And that's not the idea, believe me.
Well,
Good enough costs us more than it saves.
Right, that's why I had the sheet here to that.
Well, I mean, you know, my position, favor of laying it, but, at this point in time, but, some of the other stuff kind of concerns me because things that aren't layoffs, the big positions we're not gonna do. Then we get to highway, get to paving season. And say, holy crap, maybe we did need those flaggers. You know, you've not filled, you're limiting the jobs on 6 or 7 flaggers. Exam proctors, how you gonna give an exam without anybody to proctor the exam?
It'd be our staff.
There won't even be
It would be our staff.
I was gonna say, there won't even be a test because everything's helps now.
And that's
Well,
Already close.
there's still gotta have somebody hold the
Yeah.
flag. You know, unless you're gonna create robots or
Well,
something.
let's see if we're still solvent by the time we pave.
Okay, we do.
That's, and then we
No, I
need
just-
to worry about that at that point.
Anytime you do staff management by budget, you've got some real.
Oh,
Players in here.
You can create bigger issues than had already. I'm absolutely aware of that.
That's the reality of it.
So, yeah.
this 885,000, does that number reflect revenue for those positions?
No, there would, with the revenue back in, the total net cost is just over 354,000.
And then, does that include unemployment?
No. Vacant positions actually don't collect any.
These people would.
Is that,
Right, but I didn't add any unemployment because we have unemployment there. It's usually never used. We have no way of knowing the magnitude, whether people would actually go get other jobs or whether they wouldn't. And sometimes a person leaves us, gets unemployed from somewhere else and comes back after us for unemployment. We had nothing to do with it. Those rules are beyond my control. That's why that's not issued here.
About 1% more on the levy. His number is pretty close to
354, yeah. And that's why I said there's about there's 104,000 to come off, so you're about 250. There's 104,000 to come off on that change in Board of Elections, so it's about 250,000.
I'm making a better way.
Contingency and have a little
So
safety,
that's, what's that?
or you could leave that 100,000 in contingency.
Right. According to where you wanna be. So you made a motion to put them back.
Second.
Is there a second?
This specific team, right?
Right, the specific 11 people.
Without a second, it won't get discussed further.
That's exactly right.
I'll second it for more discussion.
Okay. So who's gonna do the discussing?
I'd like to know a little more on some of Dwayne's numbers. I tried to get through them over the weekend here. We looking like over the next year, we can cover the cost of keeping these individuals in here with the steps that we're making, the steps that you're moving forward with.
Well, sure. Thank you. First of all, what we're talking about is the part that have the lowest reimbursement rate, the safety net piece. That's the piece that we're trying to work on. So a lot of the hotels and the permanent housing, whatever that may be, that's what takes the people, and that's where we're losing. That's where we're losing money. What, 29%?
Yeah.
So that's the area that we want to be out of. And that's what we're focusing on now. Where I just keep seeing the October numbers. Yep. Like I think I replied in the email, not a trend, unfortunately, but it's showing that we're focusing that. We hope that in October, actually, it's usually a hot month. It's right before cold blue, it's starting to get cold, that's when we get more coming in. It's like, it's much, typically a hotter, a more active month, I should say, hotter than, the summer months. So all I can tell you is that's where manpower is kind of going right now. That's what we're focusing on. And there's there's the folks that are going at the hotels and stuff that, that's what that was working on. Hopefully that answers your question. I think it does. We need to try to move in that direction. That's what we kind of identified at the very beginning. And actually with Brian Help was actually pointing that, so this the safety net numbers out of control. We already reduced that
By 400,000.
by 400,000, right? So there's already a mark we've got to hit there, which I think takes it down to 2.5.
Yes.
Right? So it's not going to be an easy task, but I know that we're focused on it.
And it's kind of twofold because they did adjust their revenue, whereas in this year's, the revenue isn't adjusted, is why there's a good chance there could be a shortfall still this year. Because the revenue wasn't adjusted in the 25 budget because they didn't realize until April of 25, they actually had a problem. So that, we can't do much about this year at the moment, only what Dwayne's able to accomplish between now and the end of the year. And then we have no idea how the state comes up with the reconciliation. We've never been able to get an answer, and I've tried for over 6 months. We're working on that. We're still trying to get an answer. But that is a problem, and that's where the fund balance comes in. We don't know how much fund balance that will erode. You're hoping other departments can save enough so it's not much of an erosion. That's really the truth we're at. But just with him lowering it for next year's budget helps, that helps a tremendous lot. And with me, I was trying to cut nearly $1 million in salaries there for that one reason. If we don't know what the ceiling is, if I lowered the actual amount being put against the ceiling by $1 million, that was a big savings. But I understand that it also can be a problem with him reaching his goal and cutting the actual costs on the program, so.
Right, and I guess I just finish out asking, and this is probably the most frustrating program that you handle for us that we've been looking at, and there's some good savings started and hopefully more in the future. Is there other spots as you only had your 2 months to look at things that we can also gain some more savings down the road then?
I think there is. I mean, I think there's efficiencies across the board. There's some things that can trip us up, like foster care fees, things like that, that are out of our control. You know, I think we're looking, I really haven't had much time to do anything except for pay attention to this here. But one of the things that we have been focusing on is the concern where we're gonna hit the ball, like, and thinking that is where. So that's where our concentration has been for the last couple of weeks.
I think you first.
All right, maybe this. Do I get the feeling that this committee is not in favor of saving jobs? Could even, we had to struggle to get a second on that?
You might be understanding correctly. I don't know that myself yet. Jesse.
I wanna know if I understood you correctly. So you said if you took $1 million worth of staff out of DSS, you figured you were gonna save money because they wouldn't be able to process as much claim. as
No,
many
no,
claims,
they
so
wouldn't be able to
hit
hit the ceiling. They're $1 million. Anytime you take $1 million out, that's $1 million you are below the ceiling. We don't know what the ceiling is because they won't, no one seems to be able to tell us what it is. But if you have $1 million less, that's $1 million less that you would spend before you hit the ceiling. So like right now, we had a bill come back. We put in for reimbursement of 900,000 a year ago. This isn't even on the current year. This was a year ago. And they sent us a check for 90,000. Well, you wouldn't have the reimbursement on that $1 million. That might only been a $200,000 loss instead of an $800,000 loss. That's where I'm coming from. That's the big picture. This is the part where you said that I'm 5 steps ahead of everybody else, but it's because I've had 6 months to work on that. Yes, I'm aware of that and I'm sorry for that.
I'm not, you try it again with a way, because I don't think I'm.
That's the only way I know. If you have less money spent in any area, you can't hit the ceiling in that area. That's pretty simplistic.
Reimbursement, I think contemporary assistance for $914,000. And the state sent back things saying, yeah, congratulations, we're giving you 97. All this is unallowed, we think, because there's some magical ceiling that if you spend more than a certain amount, so that our magical ceiling would then be whatever it was, 7,000 or something. You spend more than that, it's all on your dime, not on theirs. They don't reimburse over certain.
So however you cut the cost,
We think.
you wouldn't hit it. Well, we have no idea.
We have no idea what that's saying. It seems to change from month to month to month. Or quarter to quarter.
And Al's gonna take a stab at it because he had his hand up.
Okay.
So Supervisor Feather, I guess the way that I would try to explain it is currently the DSS payroll is spread out over all of the programs. Right? That current payroll exceeds some arbitrary threshold of the state. What Brian's trying to say is if we reduce their payroll number, you won't get to that arbitrary ceiling as fast, or maybe not at all. Because where we're getting the big takebacks is when we exceed that arbitrary state ceiling. So what Brian's trying to explain is if it's a $10 million payroll now, and we exceeded it by $1 million. If it's a $9 million payroll, maybe we don't exceed it at all. I think that's what that's the gamble.
That was the basic.
So that's taken without truly knowing the answer.
Well, because I couldn't get any answer. I tried for 6
So why
months and I was kept from getting the answer.
We're gonna take people out of a job. I guess that's the part that I'm not understanding.
Well, and that's why we're here is because this is the board's budget. You decide how you want to do it. I gave you the roadmap You
We get
altered the
that.
roadmap however
We get
it
that.
sees fit.
But I
I'm just
still
telling you where
understand-
the mindset was coming as to how to control something that no one will give us information on how
So
to
this is
control.
your best guess.
It was my best guess. Well, not just my best guess, it was an example to figure it out because we still may not get an answer in the next 2 years. But I will have an answer in a year from March as to how big that reconciliation is according to those numbers. If that reconciliation's a lot less and this happened, I would say, guess what? That somewhat worked.
It's still going back to what I said before, is you said that it's their salaries that they're claiming against the work they're doing. So the people who come in and when they help those people, they're claiming those salaries against this unknown ceiling.
That's always true. Yes.
Okay, so so it still goes back. I did understand what you're saying. So you're saying if they don't do as much work or we don't have as much salary, then we won't hit that ceiling.
They could do more work. They could do twice as much work. We just don't have as much salary.
But I think that's an educated, I don't think that's a gamble, Supervisor. I think
But,
that's real.
That's trying to get it in perspective to figure it out. If we can't get an answer, and I've been 6 months, if I can't get an answer in the next 6 months, at least I'm only a year away from actually knowing the proof in the numbers. That was the opportunity.
So that's the only line that you got treated on like that was the one where it's salary.
That's the only one.
reimbursement
It has to be a
for work that's done.
reimbursement. There has to be a reimbursement for that to work because that's where they're taking away is they're not giving you the reimbursement. The good news is in Dwayne's budget, they lowered the level that they expect in revenue. So that's why I said it's twofold. By him lowering that number, that we have like 2 chances to get below that cap. That's what the opportunity was. Charlie.
I have a couple of questions and comments and points. We're here trying to set next year's budget. When I see companies work, they don't have to do what we're trying to do right now all at once. We're admitting we don't know what we're doing because we don't understand something. We're talking about these cuts, we're making a stab, maybe that will, maybe that won't. And we're in a process of movement. Does this board have the flexibility to set longer term goals and reconvene and have this ugly fight on a month by month basis as we go to this theoretical rate size?
You sure can, but the budget's gonna pass before that,
But the budget can pass big and get better, or it can pass small and get worse.
or vice versa. Absolutely.
Yeah, so I said both.
He
No,
said,
He said both.
that's true.
But this really is how much tax the people is determined.
I think.
We're gonna
That's
be-
when you set the budget.
We're gonna be increasing the taxes between 15% and 22% this year, and we're gonna have to do it again next year.
I'm hoping not.
You're hoping not by things you don't know what they're going to do, by things you don't understand.
And that's why,
And that's where we're stuck.
right, and that's why I went to you early on, that we needed to figure out where those ceilings were.
We don't know.
And we weren't allowed to go there, and even if we were allowed to go there, no one gave them to us, so.
So we went to New York State to find those ceilings, and New York State can't explain to us at the board level.
Well, they won't. I don't know if they can, but they won't. That's a problem, but.
Yeah, so Brian, just, because I know the public's out there and they're interested about the percentage rate. Okay, so what is the actual number that we have now? What's the percentage right now? Of the increase?
Was 16.97%.
Okay, that hasn't changed, correct?
Right,
All right,
well, because we haven't done anything yet.
right. So if we were to add these, positions back in, what would it go to? Do you know, any idea?
I'm guessing around 17.5 if we take the money out of elections that they were over.
And lower contingency, even an additional 100.
That's not on the table right now because that's on something we talked about in executive session that doesn't pertain to this at the moment.
So, of the 15 that were proposed in the master list, you would add back in these.
It would be, no, it would be, that's the end all. That's the last person that is being eliminated. The bumping, all of those people would go back to. Like that is the end. Like if you go back to the sheet, there's the cascade effect happens. So if you added all them back, everybody else would be back too. including the directors, including anybody above these 11 positions, based on the cascade effect.
The two director
Like
positions
that
are.
being one, I'm getting in.
They should stay on the table, the way this is written.
I just wanna make sure she's clear on that.
Yeah.
No.
They are, though. They are. This is the last,
So the only,
that's the last position, so on this.
so the only thing we have on here,
is the bumps.
which,
Oh, the week of it.
The only thing not on this, 11 are the part-time positions in DSS. They were not included on that list.
so the
So that's
math
the,
four,
there's 6.
the six part-time.
But again, 2 are vacant. So I mean, there's a lot more to it also than,
Yeah, no, I
Just-
understand. So
So
essentially what we're doing
adding-
with this list is we're taking away the layoffs for the most part. Not all. And what you're getting is unencumbered positions, so you really got the vacancies. So we're harvesting all the vacant positions. To Cassie's point, no more breakage. So, okay, and then that math is 17.5-ish.
In that vicinity, probably gonna get back to 18, if that's exactly what she's saying, because now your retirement bill's going back up.
Yeah.
And everything's going back up, and that wasn't the way it was explained to me Friday, but that's the way it's being explained today.
The way you explained it was the bill that we're paying next year is based on this year's salary.
Yes.
So that's not connected next year.
Right, so but you don't get any savings at all even later if that's what if we're actually putting back, I thought we were putting back these 11 positions. But we're actually, you're saying we're
well,
cascading all the way
you
back.
asked for those 11 positions,
That's how it
the
works.
layoffs, so we can do whatever.
So if you reversed it and went back to the 11 that Brian's referring to, if they look at the longer feed that they have, which is the proposed staff reduction, if you go to the first social service position, which is senior social service examiner, and go down to the senior caseworker, all those positions that say bump retreat next to them,
You're putting all them
you would
back,
put all those back. So you would put back to.
so it's not really
division
11.
Director positions. And then the third division director position would actually put that new position that you talked about.
So are we eliminating the 2 directors?
Well, yes.
You would be getting, you would not.
They're saying no, they're not
Correct.
eliminating anybody the way they set that up.
We are the finance committee.
Yeah, it's kind of.
We're talking about things that are not finance. What I want to know is something we can make a decision on that's more more objective. So here we're looking at, we're gonna have to do 17%. And we have great uncertainty that it could be much worse. But if we go to 18%, do we have a higher or lower probability of having a better future outcome? We're already screwed up at 17%. We're now gonna say, oh, but we did this and we could have created a situation that's bad. But if we do 18%, we have a higher or lower chance of doing a better future.
Probably if we're actually not cutting, because I thought this was
We have to
11
ask
people.
people.
If this is now 20 people and not 11, is what they're just telling me.
I'm not talking about.
That changes, no, but that changes the amount of money that would be saved.
I'm talking about.
So you took out the savings is what I'm
Well, tell me
saying.
the numbers.
It's evolving, I think, right now.
Okay, don't tell me number of personnel, tell me the numbers we're gonna go up and what our outlook looks like as a result of that cut.
If I had known that on Friday when we talked, I would have had that number for you.
And this was the one that you asked for.
Yes.
So
You're a lot higher than 18.
I think Sue said.
Yeah.
Just because they make a decision doesn't mean it's gonna make us better or worse for next year, and you're asking for numbers that would help guide us to know. To be able to make a general thought is maybe it is better to go 18, because we've got a better chance of doing better next year.
We can change the budget in the middle of the year, we do it all the time.
We have no reserves.
We're not talking about personnel cuts, we're
Al.
talking about spending money to have a better future or worse.
So here's the part of it that is finance related. Unfortunately, based on what was just said, this isn't the number. The number is much higher than this.
Which number isn't the number?
So this $885,000 that's on this sheet for the 11 people, the number is actually considerably higher than that.
Yeah,
Because that's the cost of those people. But if you restore them and it restores everything above them, now what you're adding back into the budget is all three director salaries. Right? So the number is actually much larger than this. If what Daniel just said is what's gonna happen, this number is too low. This isn't the number, so.
So from the, I don't know if this has this in it.
But I think we should be talking
So what is
about
the-
this director and that director. We should have a spectrum of, if we're at this level, this level, this level, what will be from the business style. The outcome will be in the future as a result of this spend, that spend, or another spend.
I wanted to address the fiscal part of the sheet, the
Yeah.
number is much
So
higher.
this is the number. So if every social services position was put back, it'd be 1,190,700.
46%.
Plus the,
Plus the revenue.
plus the.
Plus the
revenue.
revenue deduction.
It's 476,000, not the way they presented it. Yes,
Less than 3.
470.
476,000.
And that difference is less than 1.25%.
For the,
But what would that spend of 1.25% mean for our future compared to not spending that 1.25%?
would be.
That's what a finance committee.
the retirement on 10 people and the health insurance on 10 people is what's actually involved. That's your $1 million savings.
Business out.
That's your savings.
For having your budget.
You got rid of it.
Caseworker for
Qualifications.
check on these people getting thrown out. That's the issue. That's where the savings is.
So, but we should be asking the head what the difference would be based on those numbers and those cuts. We don't have to think about and manage what he would do. If we say, this is what you're looking at, this is what we think the costs are gonna be going forward. And if you give me this much more, this is what I think the cost will be, and then we can deliberate that, but not who's what.
So I know what you ask. He's right there.
So Sue's been had her hand up for half an hour.
I can't see.
It goes up and
Anything
down
further?
because I listen. That being said, DSS is in a financial crisis. That's what we're talking about. In the meantime, the world's kind of in a financial crisis. If SNAP benefits start not coming in, which they're not, maybe they will next week, but the fear is there. Heat doesn't come in. Those two things, not getting those creates an emergency. So that downstairs door, you think it's swinging now? Wait till this happens, because it's gonna swing more. So in the meantime, instead of supporting that staff, which we're trying to do, but it's the morale's been difficult. They're gonna need, let's hope they don't need more staff, because it's going to get rocky. In the meantime, we're cutting the legs out from underneath the wing. In order, he is improving that department down there. He's been 30 days with what he's already done. So why don't we continue to support what they need and review it every month? And I agree with Charles. I mean, this isn't a year thing. Once a year we look at it. I think we're in a crisis mode. As a board of supervisors, we need to look at it every single month and support each other getting through this and not pass blame.
If I could, I would like to ask Dwayne, from the worst budget number that is currently, from the tentative budget numbers that you have, for every $200,000 more that would be allocated in your department at your discretion for hire, et cetera, what kind of impact would that make to your function and improvement or risk of even getting worse?
So
And I
I
know
think,
you've only been here.
yeah, I mean, that's really hard to know. I mean, I think the thing is there's, in the department right now, there's a new sense of urgency, right? So people are realizing the repercussion of the work that they could do, to try to get us better numbers. So there's a different view. And I think depending if the strip, I think that's gonna have a direct opposite effect. 100%. Nobody's gonna work above their grade. Anybody that's been bumped down, that just is not gonna happen. Why would nobody here would? I can pretty much guarantee you that. I think that, you know, I'm trying to understand, because this is the first time I'm seeing this, is what we're looking at pushing back into my budget. there's a couple concerns that I have. I'm advocating for every position. I understand that you guys are gonna have to do what you need to do to make sure we fly through the next year. But what does this mean for attrition? Is there gonna be backfills? I'm gonna guess that's probably not gonna happen. That's just the way things usually go. If I lose people throughout the year, whether they're let go or will quit and go someplace else, I don't see us backfilling. We've got 6 or 8 positions now that are vacant, and we're like, yeah, let's give those up. I also, for some, my understanding in the last week, there was 4 positions that were not put in the budget, 5. I'm just learning of this, too, so I know we're short, my understanding of 4 there. So that's a hard question for me to answer. I'm just looking for some clarity on what this means. If it's a 11 proposal to go back in, is this people or positions? There's a difference, right?
Right.
Always position.
Always positions.
Right, well, there's 6, vacant positions right now, which is part of that 6 that we're saying, yeah, we're gonna rebuild up, we don't want that back. Right, so.
So
Thank you. I will continue if I still have the floor. It wasn't too many months ago, we all went to a very good budget workshop, most of us, where the message is budget for what you need. And we need to know what he needs. And maybe we can say, can you get by with less? And I'm sorry that we are going to have to raise taxes. All of us are sorry. But the idea of hurting us more possibly by not budgeting for what we need today and being able to raise taxes less in the future, we'll never know the true answer to that. But we should budget for what we need and we have to tax accordingly.
So with our discussion, I know you were on the phone that day and we talked about their staffing pattern. You were involved in that discussion. And I remember your comment was, Dwayne, you've got enough supervisors to be a company of 300 people, corporation of 300 people. And there's 150 there. That was your exact statement.
From the outside, yeah. It looks
Yes.
that way to me. Yeah.
That's exactly what you
I've
said.
never worked in DS.
And I've never worked in DSS, and
So we're
Dwayne's
both
got a month on us,
We're both
so.
unqualified.
So to put that mildly, here's kind of where we're at. Dwayne told us that he was going to come and he was gonna delegate things. That was his exact word when we interviewed him. And he needs to delegate things, but he doesn't need 3 rows of delegation. He needs to delegate and maybe another person to delegate, but we need everybody having a caseload and working right now, just like every other department does. I'm not sure that was taking place down there. One of the employees I actually seen on the weekend said to me, yeah, you got too many people that aren't taking caseloads, which was what I've heard for 4 or 5 years. I don't know if it's true or not, but to actually hear it again. So here's the issue. The issue is that if they restructure and everyone has a caseload and are working, that might be the way it works. That is up to him, absolutely. But we can force a restructure by actually removing positions and making that happen. That's what's really in play here. And at the same time, it would have provided us from hitting those caps.
We're not qualified to set his structure.
No, he will. He will. We're deciding how many people he has to put in the structure. That's all we're deciding. We're deciding the number of heads that'll be in that department.
we're not qualified to do that. We don't know DSS.
That's our job. Our job is to decide how many people are in that department. That's why we have a personnel committee and the whole bit.
And we've approved every one of those jobs before.
Yes,
We have as a
So-
board.
and look how it helped us.
So
We're in a
quickly,
great position today.
if we look at the numbers that Dwayne sent out this morning, during October's of the past 4 years, sheltering families and singles in 2022, in October was 230,000. It jumped in 2023 to 413,000 of that. In 24 was $326,000, and this year it's been reduced by $150,000 by diversion programs.
Well, diversion is just one of those. It's
Okay.
one of two where they're gonna make that number change.
So
So either moving people into permanent housing, if people on services or not, because they don't qualify.
But in order to do the diversion programs you want to do, and the fraud programs you want to do, you need people to do it. You can't cut his legs out because it could cost us substantially more, that $303.5 million could quickly jump to $5 or $6 million because we're not doing the fraud, we're not doing the diversion, we're not qualifying people properly for housing. So you think the door is swinging better, more in Washington County, everybody coming here when they know they don't have enough staff to do the proper qualification. So this is a hard position. I don't want to see taxes go up any. I don't want to see them jump because we didn't have the foresight to look down in the future to say, we hired Dwayne to do a job and we're not letting him do a job to restructure, get the right people in the right places. And yes, we can govern by budget. That's correct. But he's only been here 2 months. He got into the perfect storm. Do we put our faith in what he's done already? Restructuring and going forward, or what?
I think if it's helpful, I don't know a lot of the parts of my department that I wish I knew at this point. But however, that's how I know my history of working in this industry of how to fix the problem. Is exactly what to say. So that's the part that I do know. We've got to get in and work with diversion. That just takes me. But I guess that's just simply what I was trying to say in the email that I pushed out over the weekend.
So just a quick thing, $172,000 in savings in October. I mean, that's almost half what we're talking about here. If DSS can keep on doing that by paying attention to that, we've won. But he needs the staff to do it. You can't take staff away from it or not do it.
What's the difference in diversion dollars? Any idea?
Diversion is where we're not qualified. for
Right, but you know that
So I
for-
think it was down there, it's like $2,600 or.
2639, something like that.
Right, a day or something.
Yeah.
But what has it been in the past? See, that's, when we don't compare anything to the past, we don't know if that's better or worse than we've been doing. That's what I don't know. That's, so you get the one number and you think it's a big savings, and it is a savings more than likely. But we have nothing to compare it to. Do is 50% of that, are we 50% better? Are we 75% better? Are we 10% better? That's what we don't. I think guessing is next.
So a couple of points, I'll do like first off, I don't know how many times you said you don't know and you don't understand, but yet you took it upon yourself.
Because that's my job. My job, if they will not give me answers, Cassie, I have to do
Over and
that.
over again, you
Yes.
don't know. But I know there's other people on the road besides me who came to you with ideas. So you had no problem going in and wiping out all these people in DSS as your own whim. And then, like myself, for example, I said, if we have to do layoffs, why don't we do a DMV person? Because that's forward facing and the public said they were okay with us doing a layoff, but you wouldn't do that. And your answer to me was because she thinks she's got extra revenue coming in and wants to keep her people busy so they're not standing around in between. But that standing around in between is fine because you believe there's revenue attached, but there's revenue attached to his job. I said, why don't we get rid of some of the money for LBC and not give them as much money? And you said, oh, that's revenue for me, so we can't do that. There's revenue attached there. What was the other thing? I said, why don't you cut some of the money to cooperative extension? They're not the same they were used to be. Every time you had an answer and didn't put anything in. And then you repeatedly sit in these meetings and say that nobody gives you ideas. And I know there were other people that came to you and had ideas. And you just pick and choose what you want. I know you'll say it because it's your job. But then you'll turn around and sit in here and say that nobody participates, nobody gives you any ideas, and nobody helps. So stop that. But I am really disappointed that you thought, when you repeatedly say that you don't know, you don't understand, and they agree that you're not qualified, but you took it upon yourself to go in and rearrange a department.
The only reason I don't know, Cassie, I'm gonna stop you here because you're out in left field a bit. The only reason I don't know is that they did not give me one single answer. There's no other department that happened in. And it wasn't like I didn't try for 6 months. I was even stopped by people here from going down and asked the questions. Charlie was on the same email that he asked to go, and he was told he couldn't go down there too. So the reason I don't know isn't because I didn't try to find out, it was because that department did not work with me. If I got the answers I wanted, this would be a whole different situation. So that's kind of where I'm at.
Yes.
All right. This isn't open, it's very far, wasn't.
Like it for ideas.
Good, get more ideas. I think that philosophical issue that Dave was kind of getting around the edges of is that managing by budget with a organization like this that's got civil service is random, it's completely random. So what we wind up with is cutting the people that you probably need the most. You say, you know, we'll cut this, but by the time you do that, the ones who actually leave are the ones at the bottom. And I think that's why I'm having trouble supporting any of these layoffs, because I think that we're hamstringing ourselves for the future. And, you know, it's tough. Dwayne should come to us next year and say, all right, I can trim us down by getting rid of this one, and this one. And here's what the ramifications will be. And, you know, that's the way to do it. By doing it with a budget number, it's a complete shot in the dark. And we can say that we don't know, but the fact is that if we did know, we can't do a damn thing about it because it's a random way of doing it. It's the poor thing. I can't support any layoffs at this point, personally.
Yeah. I appreciate all the discussion. It's very helpful, but I think back to the original motion, I think the motion was move the personnel because that's where the decisions be made. Is that correct?
Now this one will be made in the budget. This is a budget decision.
Well, if we're going with the budget decision, then it's going to be set aside, you know, the who's doing who in the zoo, right? So the proposal is to make an increase to DSS budget line that impacts the levy
1.29 million on the expense
and
and
brings it back up to about an
Which is
18.5%
raises the revenue 714,000.
about an 18.5%.
Right.
Where I read.
And it will,
Is that a motion or?
You take out-
That's already been.
So that's just a clarification.
So I just want to clarify.
He's just clarifying what it actually relates to, yes.
Then it goes to personnel to figure out what the,
Well, these are all budget amendments, so it would have to go, but we have personnel on Thursday, so we don't have to do it today anyway. Because Thursday's meeting is personnel first. If you want to do it in personnel, it's fine by me.
I guess
But
it's
that's
a
not how it's
formal
normally.
process conversation.
Right,
at
no.
This point, which, what are we
Basically,
getting to with this motion that's on the table right now?
basically, these all stay in finance. Because these are all about the tentative budget. That's all.
So we're not gonna, so the director is okay with making it work with what we said were these positions, is that?
That's true with every department. They have to be okay with our decision because they're ours.
What's the others?
Yes.
I think we have to live with getting, my personal opinion, I think we should, in personnel, serious about directors, I think we should have started the organization there. I don't think we need three, and that's been discussed substantially over the past year.
Okay.
So I got Dan and I got Charlie. Yes.
Just so I'm clear. On, I mean, and this is gonna be for the public too. If you presented a budget, is what you have done. And with the funding and the line items within the budget, these positions on this page, the one that Cassie can't read. Those are eliminated through the budget and they're identified as those are the positions.
Yeah.
There was no vote on from any committee.
Right.
And what we're voting on now, this motion of yours, Dave, is to add these positions back in and increase the county tax levy by 18.5%. Is that 18 what?
That's what it would become is 18 and a half, somewhere in that area.
Yeah, 18.5. That's the motion that's on the floor.
Yeah.
Then take-
Now, if it's defeated, then we stay with everything the way it was that you presented it.
Yes.
The only, and if it's passed, it has to go to the full board and voted on Friday by the full board.
A
for
week
it
from
to-
Thursday, yeah, or a week from this Friday.
Yeah.
Thursday's our finance week.
Right,
so
but
it'd be a
it
week.
goes, if
But you're
any
right, it'll be the
resolution
Friday
out here are
board
gonna go to the
yeah.
full board to change that. That's what I want everybody to know. If-
Yep.
If that's the feeling of what people, and you're, wow, you're 18 and a half.
Brian,
You want
we
that-
are not clear on the motion and Devin is it was just for these 11 positions, not this whole sheet.
Well, no.
There
but
will be
the-
a bump on the
but-
others.
But now they're telling the 11 is gonna affect how many of.
Right, but there's a lot of other open positions on this big sheet that we are not including in this motion.
That's correct.
And Danielle's gonna explain that.
Kind of where I'm at. So I know you're here now. If you want a more clear numbers on it, we can do that for finance
Thursday.
for Thursday. So you know exactly what would happen rather than doing a motion from what you have, which isn't probably not totally accurate.
What about,
I got Charlie.
So we're, have a motion on the table that we think would add to the tentative budget enough to be like $500,000, it should be 1.25%, 1.5% for a tax levy. Is that correct?
Even more than that.
Right, that's what we're thinking it is right now. We don't have the exact.
What else?
Well, 476 was, I believe, was the net cost we were saving. We were saving 476 originally.
That's Brian's numbers.
Yeah,
right,
And although we don't govern by budget, the state governs our budget, as we said, and the randomness of, so this $500,000 difference in our budget, we still have $1 million possibilities that are outside of our control and will go further out of our control if we're not able to manage the part that has these clawbacks
Yeah.
or reconciliation.
well, and the legacy costs that go with putting these back in. So you've gone both ways. You
They
had
may
both
be just
net.
extending and they may get reduced through time as we approve. But might be much harder to improve from this particular point in time if we are taking those 11 away.
Very much a possibility. I got Cassie.
so since in realistic reality, we're, looking at double digits next year too. If one thought of you putting in these positions and giving Wayne back a chance to work and reorganize this department, other than 6 or 8 weeks he's had to be budget focused and all of that, then when we come for the double digit budget next year, then Dwayne may have ideas on how to restructure, and there may be some eliminations then. But at least we give him the tools, like Charlie says, to deal with the problem and be able to work it out. And since we're gonna have, realistically, we're gonna have the same problem next year, then he'll be able to better advise us and say, okay, after being here for a year and 8 weeks, this is my recommendation, that maybe we changed, I can restructure and do this, but for us to take it away. And we also might find that some of these other departments are gonna need to put people back in that we take it away. But I think given chance, that's one way of looking at it, that give them the chance to divert, see if it improves, like Charlie says, because we keep the people there. We give them a chance to increase the services or change the services to lower the problem, then he may have natural attrition or be able to restructure better next year than this year, because I'm really convinced it's gonna be the same problem next year. We're not.
And that's kind of, if you reread the budget message, that's what it tells you. But by adding more, the more you add back in, the more years you're adding the problem.
Well, I
That's
see, I
the bigger
think-
concern. I was trying to get it down to 1 to 2 years. This is probably gonna put it back to the 3 to 4 years, but it's remains to be seen, so. Go ahead. I'll let John Roselle go, because we haven't heard from John.
I don't know exactly what the motion is on, but I believe that we gotta have more figures, or proper figures,
That's what I'd like to.
and not guessing before we act on that. Only.
Jay,
Couple of different things. I think that we need some restructuring down there, but I think Wayne needs to have a chance to look at that. I really think that there is need there. As a businessman, if we had to spend 497, I'd really like to think that even the people there, we could recoup 497 and come out ahead there somewhere, kind of some of our scrutiny and
That would
some
be
of our
nice.
programs. But I would also make a motion to table this vote till Thursday.
When we have
More
numbers.
Information.
Second.
Is this a weighted vote?
No, it's one person, one vote and
Yeah,
here,
I'm
motion
not
to
gonna be
table
here
is
Thursday.
not debatable.
No. Yeah,
And we're not set up for remote access, are we? Remote participation, we do not
You
have.
can do that, right?
We can do.
under the rules.
You can do remote,
When
if you
there's
give the
a
address.
Wait, Thursday, I will be here in the morning, right?
Yeah.
So I'm fine with that.
Motion to table's on the floor, it's gotta be voted on, it's not debatable.
Okay, motion to table, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
Quick question for Dwayne. Dwayne, as you look at the progress you're making, the limited you're at, get a feeling. Is there any place that you could reduce your expense budget? Make up for that, so we have an even keel. You think that the methods you put in place and diversion and everything else may reduce the number we have budgeted for homeless? Homeless?
I mean.
Why don't you take a look and see?
Yeah, that's what I would like.
If we can swap this for an expense, I think we have another expense. I think we have a win here.
You got till Thursday. No big pressure.
I'll be working on that, isn't he? I mean, that's the way to look at it.
Yeah.
Brian, on Thursday. Can we still make motions and resolutions to alter the budget for the following?
On everything and everything, yeah.
Yep.
It would be nice if we knew what they were gonna be, because we would like to get them prepared. So we know the increases, the decreases as we go along.
Well, hey, if my ears picked up on Cassie said that she made suggestions on where we could cut spending. So if we're here, let's talk about that. And now let's look at cooperative extension. Cassie being a farmer, being rural, and she's recommending or suggesting that we look at cutting some cooperative extension. Let's look at that. Let's discuss that right now. If the county is gonna suffer through layoffs, anybody we're funding can suffer through layoffs, my book. So if we wanna cut part of that budget back, I say we talk about it. And the LDC, when I was on that, which I haven't been on now in less than a year, I think, that's pretty good financially, and we put quite a bit of money in that. Can we cut some of that? Get it out of there. I mean, let's get serious about that. And let's discuss it.
LDC's money had different buckets that allow for different things.
There we go. We can't do
But
it.
I'm just explaining that.
I can't believe it. I can't believe it.
But I think you should be on the table.
Charlie's absolutely right. There are things that we can use unrestricted funds for. There are things we can't use for loan money and interest coming in. Those are restricted funds. So it's more complicated than saying we cut this one here. There are restricted funds you can use for things, you can't use for things. You can't use interest to operate your organization. That has to go back into reinvesting. So while it looks like it's good, you have to analyze what it is when you take those restricted funds out. Not as easy as it looks.
Well, I make a motion then that we delegate Dave O'Brien, president of the LDC or chairman, to come back with a number that will not impact that can be cut and come up with a number, whatever.
I'll second that.
We have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carry.
Now,
You
next
have a
one,
motion.
make a motion, I do, that we cut from cooperative extension.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, and how much money?
I have no idea. I do not want to make them go belly up, but I think that they need to be cut too.
They're in the middle of a move is the only thing I know. Do you know anything on that, Chairman?
No, they put a sign up yesterday, it says 4H, big arrow.
Yeah,
We've been in the middle of a move for the past 5 years. Go walk down the aisle and go take a turn to the left. You can't find anything anymore. They're all in different positions. No, we've been moving and now I need a fob to almost to go to the bathroom. You've got security on every door. It's ridiculous.
But next year, when I leave, I'm gonna leave my fob hanging inside the window, so they can pass it out.
I mean, let's get serious here. I think this is a great conversation right now.
What is the budget for what position?
Also, one other thing I'd like everybody to think about, we have the 250th coming up, we've cut the historian department, both positions, okay? And the amount of tourism and revenue that comes in through there, we just cut our feet off again. So why would we cut something that's bringing us in money?
Because we were told to by the public in the public hearing. We were told to cut.
What's this ARPA money gonna?
Yes, Laura has a way that she could fund some of that. What we're trying to figure out is he has an actual. He's in the middle of doing his master's degree. Do you know exactly? Because I don't know the incidentals. And the way I got told the story is he needs to have the historian position in order to finish his master's degree. I have no idea the reality of that. I did send an email to Lisa. I had not heard back before the meeting as to where that was really at, but I know there is a push to put the historian in position back some way at some form.
So since we're talking about putting things back, I really would like you to look again at those 3 upgrade requests. They were based on civil service classifications, the jobs that those people are currently doing. We have one, I'm just gonna use, for example, Board of Supervisors, who actually is preparing the audit when Stacy's out. So those aren't lots, those are because there's 3 positions in this county that put in for upgrades and change of title. It's based on the duties that they're performing. It's not a wish list. It's supposed to be that way. We used to do it during the year. You didn't want to look at those during the year because it affected the budget and you wanted to keep better track. But my concern is now that we're putting into the budget process, they're not getting looked at like they should. Those are 3 positions that were civil service classified.
You'll bring
should
them on
be
Thursday
upgraded.
again,
Yeah.
so that we can see them.
Yeah.
Is mine part of that for you? Or was mine,
No,
because she was supposed to be upgraded not this budget, but this for 2025.
No.
For out this year.
yeah, no, that would be different. These are actually 3 that were based on civil service classifications.
Dan, what you want to mention? Charlie.
Do we have a lot more to do? Do we want to take a recess?
I think we're in the mood to do things, so let's stay doing them.
Okay.
We've got a motion on the floor with a second. We're waiting for Kathy making,
I'm
looking
trying
up
to find the
information.
number.
There's so many different
Money that we get from her.
I can tell you.
I do, but where is this?
No, you look it up. What is the thought? There's no revenue.
Hudson River out.
Going to the.
Hudson River's in.
If we eliminate them, we're
Let's not
Them, but they make it
deviate from
bad.
our, what is the amount?
That's what they spent. We give them that much
Very
money.
expensive. Now, we can give them a
We
lot.
give them $400,000.
$436,000. What do, Cassie, what do we get back from them?
There's good funding program and they do, they're not as. This is just my opinion, but my opinion is they keep cutting back in districting, like centralizing locations. And so your program that you might want to go to might be at Austin Spa, it might be further away than that. I'm not sure. I don't think the presence is there as it was before. I don't think they come out to the community and help as much as they do. I think that maybe down, I think there's some contractor services that we do, like maybe some of the.
ESS,
for
the
parents and clinics.
parenting. I don't know.
There's some stuff that crosses over.
Yeah.
but
I say with my, then I make, in my motion, I say we cut it to $50,000.
What did that do?
$50,000.
436,000.
Cut it by 50.
Cut it by 50. It's 3.
Oh,
$386,000.
I thought he was.
That's
I'll 1%.
no idea.
1%.
Wait a minute,
No, I'm
Dan
only,
made a motion,
I second.
right?
right.
Seconded it. Shirley? I'm sorry.
So that would be a $386,000 change in our budget.
No, I only want to cut it by 50%.
Oh, I thought you were gonna cut it.
50,000.
I thought you said cutting it to 50. I was shocked.
No,
Oh,
cut it by $50,000.
you haven't seen nothing compared to the past.
No.
We have a motion and a second. Is there
$50,000.
any discussion on that?
Why not 100?
Why not 100?
I'll
I'll make a motion.
We made it.
Give me a minute, what you want?
I'll make a motion to meet,
Amendment, you gotta do amendment.
I gotta do amendment.
Everything's gonna come
I
back.
said I make a motion to amend his motion.
Okay.
You have $100,000.
Okay, now the amendments to go 100.
We get the LD.
Jay will second.
No, that's what I'm looking for is if there's, oh, Jason.
I didn't
Dana Hogan.
John
Dana Hogan
seconded.
seconded the first one.
Yeah.
And who seconded the?
Oh, the amendment,
second
we're waiting
one.
to see if there's a
Yes.
second. Was there a amendment?
Yes, the amendment carried.
You're okay, John.
John wants to go with the amendment for 100,000. The reverse auction.
It's more,
Discussion, right?
Yes, discussion.
What do we lose?
I'm sure Brian will be here on Thursday to tell us.
Let's see.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we should tell Brian, and if he's got a reason why that can't work, and he can come back here on Thursday and lead it back. What he's got from today to Thursday, and we didn't really give Brian much more time than that,
Right.
say why or why not. They don't see where they can.
So do we want to pass it or do you want him to come back first? That's my question.
I say we pass it.
First.
Because we told Dwayne to come back. So that's why I'm asking. Well, it's just doing it different.
He can still
We're
come
doing
back.
two different things. That's all I'm asking.
He can still
He
come
can still come
back.
back.
Call for a vote, you got the vote.
Yes.
Call.
All in favor, say aye.
On the amendment first.
It's passed. Well,
On the amendment.
On the
first.
amendment.
On the amendment, okay. Back to the original motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Very good. That's all.
Wait a minute.
Well,
What did we?
you voted to approve cutting $100,000 out of, that's it, that's all you.
Probably.
And we'll probably put most of it back in next Thursday.
Not necessarily.
We're gonna get
This
started
Thursday.
on it now. We're headed in the right
This
direction.
Thursday.
Are we ready for another motion?
Yes, if you got one.
Cassie had another idea. Cooperative extension, what was the other one?
Well, if you're gonna lay off people, he appreciate that.
I mean, you had,
Yeah, I did. The other one?
No.
DMV, I had 4. I'm under pressure because they're all looking at it. I have to think for a minute.
okay,
I'm Chairman.
Oh, do you want to get rid of the LDC?
The LD,
Well, you already mentioned that one.
Already did that.
we did that one. We haven't taken a number yet, but.
Okay, I have another motion on the floor,
Yeah,
or I have a motion to put on the floor. I make a motion that we eliminate the Department of, Code Enforcement. No, I'm serious, and I'll explain why if I get a second.
I'll second it for the discussion.
Here is the thing, I run the numbers that you have provided from the budget and from the percentages of what the town share of the county tax levy is. Now, I'm assuming everybody knows that code enforcement has a shortfall between revenue and expenses of almost $25,000. 623,000. That means the town of Fort Ann is paying over $90,000 their share for a code enforcement officer, part-time code enforcement officer. The town of Kingsbury, who's not even using one, but is paying $83,000 for code enforcement. I'm not using one, and I'm paying $37,000 a year in my town. Tim Fisher from Fort Edward is paying $45,000. You're paying high into the 30s, maybe even $40,000. The Jim Nolan is, you're up there too. All I'm saying is if town of Kingsbury and the town
This is
The
40,
board-
that's Kingsbury.
Yeah, but I'm saying both of you,
We
both
pay
of
about
you.
$7,000 a year more than he does.
He shouldn't be paying anything, I shouldn't be paying anything, and Tim shouldn't be paying anything. And I am confident that we're gonna take care of that by this board meeting Thursday that in finance. I'm gonna discuss that further of us getting out of this, getting built. And I've already talked to Dan. Dan says I have a valid argument. And I've talked to my town attorney and got advice on how to reclaim from 2002 what I've been paying for without receiving any services. So I figured we can get that worked out. But right now, you would save at $625,000. Real money out of this budget, real money. And at the same time, it goes back to the towns and the towns will save money. It will cost them less at their town level than what they're paying right now. So it would be win-win for everybody. But, and nobody would lose their job because they'd all get picked up by the town. And I'll tell you, a good comparison is assessors. How many towns share assessors? And they each drive a contract of their own with their assessor. And the assessors all make out well. And at one time, we were talking about doing a county level assessor. Can you imagine what that would cost us if we did that? Compared, when you look at that sheet, and I didn't bring it with me, I got it home, on what the towns are paying. It's half what was costing us for code enforcement. And I don't believe it's any more work. So I think you should really seriously look. The town, Essex County, now there's a great example. Essex County, and this comes from the state. Essex County voted years ago not to provide code enforcement so that this could never fall on them. See, and we didn't do that. So now as towns opted out of code enforcement because it was too hard or too difficult, it dumped on the county, and so we were there and we grabbed it thinking it was helping everybody else. Oh, it's not. Now, if you look, besides saving that $625,000, now you're saving space. You probably can reduce carpool by what, 6, 7 cars, whatever, how many people road been out there? And it's a win-win situation. And I don't know why we don't do it.
So
Thank you.
if you're gonna go to Essex County, not to get off this subject totally, but they're in the park, so they have total different rules than we have.
They have to use
Park
those
rules are
state code
amazing.
laws, same as us.
Yeah, but most things aren't even possible to do in a park. And second of all, they have 8% sales tax.
But so what does that means nothing to savings.
Well,
We're
for
talking
them-
savings.
For them, it's big savings.
Oh, yeah.
No,
You might
isn't.
have a short-term financial savings, but state, if county's no longer doing code enforcement, it then defaults to the state. It's gonna take a lot longer for people to get their houses built if they can build them. And there might be some short-term cost savings, but long-term.
No,
other issues.
Danny, I disagree, because you're working with.
Hang on,
your-
And
Andy's made a point to you though, if we got rid of our code.
Yes.
Officer, those folks will be picked up and hired by the town to do the job. For example, Sam and I can share a full-time code enforcement.
Yeah.
So I don't understand the long-term risk under that situation.
Can we, I don't know that.
Yes, you can.
Yes, you can.
I didn't know if they had to be within your own town.
State
You can go
encourage-
out, it's like an assessor, yeah,
Same thing.
same thing.
And
I think one of the challenges coming up is that towns already have their budgets in place. And now we're gonna enforce additional costs on them. It may be better to think about it as a long-term solution over a couple of years versus immediate.
Never have.
Second of all, I don't think that small towns have a big use for code enforcement. And to hire someone to just be code enforcement officer for town is gonna be financially impossible to do.
You do it as a group.
We already are.
You could do it with Whitehall, you could do it with Dresden, you could do it with Putnam. And it still would be a part-time position for you. Now, by the way, I forgot to add that the cost, or I shouldn't say the cost, the necessary qualifications that need to be met are no less or no more rigorous than it is to be an assessor. And they give you time to do it. I mean, you could appoint a code enforcement officer that wasn't certified. And as long as he's working towards his certification, it's acceptable. So it's a
I
win-win
have to
situation.
work with a established code enforcement officer during that.
Yes.
I've been there.
Yeah, that's right.
Charlie,
I had never thought of that idea because I didn't know of that area very much. I've only been here for a year. But it does make a lot of sense that towns, nearby towns can easily share that responsibility. I did not know that we were that much in the red on that department here. That is an absorbed responsibility of towns who are not doing it and they're not paying enough for it. Give it back to the towns.
And if I may add to this, I just told you what the shortfall was. When you inherit that position back and you get to subtract that shortfall to use towards your cost, you also inherit the revenue stream, which was $192,000 in the county revenue stream. But but the impact to the county is strictly the 625, but the towns will also receive back part of that revenue. And this year, our
that's how
town,
we got there, was the revenue never exceeded what?
and it never will,
Right.
but the cost has exceeded what the cost would be at the town level. So anyway, you got a motion on the floor
With a second.
with a second.
All in favor, say aye, or
Aye.
doing
Aye.
it on Thursday?
Aye.
Okay, how many ayes do I have? We're gonna have to have a hand count here. I got 4.
Or you,
I'm a no, because I use it and it's better than we were ever able to do.
oh, no.
So I like paying I actually don't mind that it's in my county tax.
The vote's going on and there's not a majority.
Yes.
Yep.
No,
We got
it
nothing else, eh?
We've got
it failed. He just asked the question afterwards. Oh, raise your hand for no's.
Okay.
Charlie voted both ways.
Oh, wait, no, sorry. Which is, what's no, what's yes?
We're gonna go back to all of Charlie.
We'd already voted, it already got voted down, so.
Okay, then I have a question. Totally forgot it.
I got no.
Hey,
Go ahead.
I believe, and I've shared this with you, Brian, I think the county should be paying health insurance for legislative board. So I think I'd like to make a motion, we start doing what that costs.
Is there a second for that?
Again,
Is there a discussion? Yes, Scott.
I think if we're gonna lay people off, we need to hurt too. You know, I offered up in an email last week. I would be willing to take a 50% pay cut. I don't know about anybody else, but I don't do this for a month.
So we have a motion and a second on the floor. Now we're introducing another subject.
no, he just making a comment.
Right, he's just making a comment.
How big? That be phased in? We're already at 25%, right? Is that what we do?
25%.
Well,
Eliminate it completely?
Yeah, it should be purchased by the town. County would be paying for health insurance.
Yeah,
I spend my position.
so, and that's what the problem is here, is at the town level, we only pay full-time people. Everybody else is considered part-time, it's how we do it. So when it goes back to the town level, we're gonna end up buying 6 or 8 insurance
I
policies.
believe you change that though, correct? Yeah, so you could change that policy.
I have no idea.
You can.
Okay,
We made a point to change policy, so we weren't doing part-time people in our town, and I do get my insurance through here, and if I don't get it here, the town's not, it's gonna be like more than a 1%
Right.
increase on my town to pick up my insurance. They're not gonna do that.
And our RA money won't pay one person's insurance. That's how low our AIM money is. So that's why I'm opposed to it, that it's just a total cost and it will cost us 5 or 6 more people being added, which is huge.
With the total savings fees, it's great. Looking at personal.
About 100,000.
No, that's just the policy, that's not the self-insurance. Payments.
Right, but that's all you save is, you only save what is in the budget. You can't save what's not in the budget.
Well, we still pay those bills,
Yes, and you're still paying those bills no matter who's listed.
so the savings is real, whether it's
Well, no,
defined
because
in the budget or
the
not.
people that get insurance might not be, might not be your claimants. See, that's the crapshoot here. You don't know that you're getting rid of the healthy people or if you're getting rid of the non-healthy people. That's,
No, we're talking about money.
we are $100,000 is the actual money that you can save in the
It's
budget.
to me, because a little while ago, we gotta talk about numbers. We can't attach this to people or positions, and now we're talking about, well.
You gotta go by the
I
number
have
that's in the
insurance, I
budget.
have insurance. I'd like to know what the real saving,
It's $100,000
so where does the rest of that money come
from everybody that takes insurance.
from? Self-insured, right?
The state or the county pays their part and
Am I
the
wrong?
person pays their part.
We're self-insured, we pay our own hospital bills, our own medical bills.
Yes,
What's that savings?
100, it's 104, I believe it's 104,000.
I thought Al said.
Now, but
So I believe what Mr. Hahn is asking, and we can get you the number by Thursday. The supervisors that participated in the health insurance program, what would their claims cost in our self-insurance fund? I think that's what you're asking. Because that fund went up $1.5 million this year. I think what Mr. Hahn is asking is what percentage of those claims came from that group of people? That's what I'm hearing you ask.
Supervisors, right?
So I can get that claims data. I can't tell you who, but I can tell you what that group of people cost the pool in the last 12 months. That data is
I
available.
would just see it.
but it has no
But it
bearing
could
on what
change.
this cost will be or savings would be in the actual year. That's the problem.
Our claims are high.
That's not true because you built in that $1.5 million as
Right.
a transfer. You
Well-
could reduce that 1.5 million if that group wasn't, it would change drastically the self-insured budget if that risk pool was reduced.
If they're the high risk people, yes.
And
If
that's,
they're the
But I
low
mean,
risk
he's
people,
just
it
asking,
goes the
he's
other
just
way.
asking for those numbers. So the other,
I had.
if I,
It's a dislocated shoulder.
You don't want.
I was gonna hurt my shoulder.
He's still on our insurance, don't hurt him.
So are we voting on this?
We get if we want.
When we pay, let's say somebody's insurance is 10,000 and they're paying 25% of the 10,000. Isn't the county contributing $7,500 on behalf of that person? And-
Right, and that's what our 75% is 104,000.
so that,
So if we didn't insure ourselves here completely, found outside insurance, do we save the county a lot more money?
what we found when we reviewed that, Mr. Tall, is that the premium cost in that kind of plan far exceeded. Right, so for us to buy like a CDPHP or an MVP, the premium was so much more than what we pay ourselves in the self-insured fund.
Yes.
So we have done that exercise a few times. It's never come to the point, the numbers have never been in our favor to go to what they call community rated plans like CDPHP. and
So the
MVP.
towns have community rated. So like right now, a family plan is over $40,000 a year. That's not what a family plan costs here.
What we lose sight on sometimes, Mr. Tall, is the actual cost in that self-insured plan. We look at, okay, say a family plan is $20,000 a year, 75% of that cost is borne by the county. That's in the general fund that's paid for by the levy. But what we miss is later on in the fund, you also see the 90/60 account, which is the health insurance. Those numbers are spread through the budget based on what we think we need to self-insure the fund next year. That kind of gets lost in the conversation. So it's not just the Supervisor Hahn's point, it's not just the 75% contribution. It's built into that was also the 1.5 million that we had to add to that fund this year to keep the fund sustained. Right, so we do continue to do that exercise with our broker, looking at community rated versus experience rated. And because they back end that the loss so much to go back the other way. All you do is it's a pay me now or pay me later program, unfortunately. But if you have, if that group of people cost general fund 100,000. Well, had $700,000 in claims, that's the data that Mr. Hahn's looking for.
Yes. It's true.
Let me ask you a question as a budget officer. Just let's say this vote doesn't pass. What sacrifice has the supervisors made in this year's budget?
The total cost of their insurance.
No, well, my point is, if it doesn't pass, which doesn't sound like it's going to. What have supervisors sacrificed in this year of this budget?
If I remember correctly, I think there was a vote not to get the supervisors a raise this year.
Oh, that's it. Wow. That's what we gave up in raises. That's impressive. Anybody who votes no in this room, I don't know how you book it for taxpayers.
Okay.
When I come up here, I'm taking away from my business.
Yeah.
And quite often I have to hire part-time guys to come in and cover it. When the sun's shining and I'm sitting here, it's costing me money if I'm not home in the fields doing work. So I kind of feel that I probably earn it one way or another here.
And I believe I do too, and I've only taken it for 5 months, but. Go ahead.
I point out, and that's a valid point, I'm not finishing that point at all. But I would point out that, when Brian and I came on, we were making just about $400 less than what we're making right now. So, budget's right along the way, we've been progressively knocking ourselves back. So, we're not, if you look at inflation and everything, we haven't gained a bit. I'm just about $400 over what I was when I started.
And we cut out mileage totally.
Cut mileage out, cut out all kinds of expense stuff.
And I think
We're
some,
taking a number against
A year or a month, a year or a month, making less, a year.
yes.
So what you're saying, 400
Yeah.
less a year?
Oh, yeah, got another one.
And then in the grand scheme of things, some people, that's the only way you can get them to run for office. I mean, that's, they really want the reality that they're gonna get health insurance.
That's not true public service.
And that's not what they.
Whatever. What's up? Yeah, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Cutting.
Yep.
Yeah, aye.
How many yes votes? We got 4. 5. How many no votes? Fails.
Thank you.
I
Yes,
think. the
I remember
solid-
about my 14 one. Nice act. That's not $10,000.
well,
A nice act.
it'd be wonderful to not pay nice act, but the fact of the matter is, it is our only way of getting any information, even if it's not good.
What the state's getting out of us and local services.
Yeah.
Last program works better.
Would it eliminate all the emails I get from that?
Probably not.
Probably
No.
Yeah, this could go the other way, but I gotta ask the question, okay, on heat and revenue. Okay, you have $256,211 that's coming in. And 25,000 going out. We're pretty sure we're getting this money? In revenue?
I would assume that they did their budget, I didn't. They know whether their heat money's coming or not.
Sorry.
If the board isn't going to support cutting code enforcement, I could pass a resolution that says that the county will quit charging the 3 towns that have their own code enforcement. And it'll shut me up. I don't care if you do that. That's legally.
There should be a way to figure that out if it legally should be
Well,
done. There's
let's
gotta be
get
a way
it-
to do it.
let's get it as a motion for.
So it's ready for Thursday? Is that what you're trying to do? So Dan has it ready?
Wherever you'd like to have it and do it. I'm making a motion that the county eliminates it. Was there a second to that one?
John, eliminates what?
Eliminate the billing to the 3 towns for code enforcement. At least-
that.
We're just trying to find a way to fund it. That has to be in a resolution, but I don't know how that.
You don't have to fund it, you just don't have to bill us for it. It
Well, I
doesn't
think-
increase the
I
budget.
And part of the research I was doing, and I want to be sure. So I'm not saying it is or it isn't. But I seem to recall doing some of the research for the funding, it can only be done one of 3 ways, which was a taxation. Something pursuant to the state finance law and something else. And if it's done by county taxation, I think it has to be countywide, but I'm not complete, I don't completely remember it correctly, because it's been 3-4 weeks since I looked at it. So I just want to be sure before I write something. I guess what I would say, Dan, if you give me the 3 days to look at
Yes,
it.
but still, I mean, it can be done. And the
I'm
simplest way
not
to do
saying,
it,
I'm not saying it can be done. That's where
you're
No.
saying you don't know if it can be done?
I don't know if it can. I want to check and be sure.
Okay, then let me take a different position, Dan, and I think you'll have to agree with me on this. If half the towns wanted the county to provide assessment for their towns, what you did was you charged the towns that use it, the additional cost. So right now, code enforcement, it could be considered an additional cost. You charge the towns
For the
their-
amount they use it.
and it's simple, and you're legally that you can do, because it also says in that law that I gave you that you have to have agreement with each town that you provide their service for. It isn't just a blanket deal. And I don't think any town has signed any, legal document with the county to say you're, asking you to provide code enforcement.
I think that supervisor signs every time something comes across their desk that they are. We have to sign every time.
Yes, but there's still gotta be a written agreement between the town and the county, and I think it has to come from a board resolution of the town. Not just a simple, yep, we'll take you on.
You've
A
added
couple
Dan's
years ago,
research.
I think I'm the last time, maybe I'm wrong, but a couple years ago, Chris was still here. And he set it up, and I think there was an agreement, because
And your town voted on it.
we had to, our code enforcement couldn't do it anymore. Had to-
I know.
So, yeah, you know, but so we had to come to the county, and I think there was stuff back and forth between it then, and I think there was some sort of an agreement, but I can't remember, but I remember it went back and forth. Would have been the last year Chris
Not
was
be
here,
charged
and
for
the
it.
state sold us on shared services, and we didn't get squat for that here.
Cover that for the,
Yeah.
for the assessments.
Yeah, for the shared services.
I pay for my own and pay the county's too.
But anyway, yeah, I think there was something, it would be an easy place to look. I think it was the last year Chris was here. And I think my town was the last one to come on, because we lost code enforcement. I could be wrong, somebody else got it on since, but I think there was some kind of paperwork. And we had to roll
So
that.
back, I think we started here on NICEAG. Is that right?
I know, NICEAG jumped right up.
No, I made a motion
NICEAG
and
was.
we got a second.
Yeah, but we were on NICEAG
We were on
first, so
NICEAG.
what did we decide on that?
NICEAG was like $9,000 to $10,000.
So that wasn't the motion though.
What's the motion on the
Then
table?
it wasn't.
The motion on the table is to eliminate the 3 towns that don't use code enforcement from being billed for code enforcement.
We're waiting for Dan to research and come back.
Right,
with
we're gonna
some-
bring that resolution on Thursday, so it's done right.
I have
Is
no
that
problem
okay?
with that if you're gonna do that.
That's the whole idea.
That's the idea.
Do we have to pass the idea first for him to do the work?
No, I can do the work without.
You know,
I don't know when I'll find the time to do it, but I'll do it.
We got day off tomorrow.
Yeah,
I'm already planning on being here tomorrow.
Yeah, withdraw.
If you want that withdrawn, I'll withdraw.
Just coming through.
Okay, the last thing before that was the NICEAG. I think that I asked Melissa about it. Isn't that 9,000 to 10,000?
Yes, for the dues, plus conference fees.
We still have to pay for the conferences too.
The conferences cost us money, yes,
So then I'll
registration
pay
and
for
overnight.
them.
The food was free the last time, and it was awful.
So I had that on the table of getting rid of that. Up, down, and screen.
Question
It's
on
only
this.
95
I will admit that NISAC is the only advocacy we have direct to the governor's office. We don't have advocacy anyplace else. And I think it's important to maintain the advocacy because if we're not involved in the advocacy, we could be eliminated from other stuff. I think it's a mistake. We need the advocacy.
Charlie,
So would we, if we don't pay the dues, what happens? We can't go to the function, they would shut us out.
Right.
yeah, correct, you're not even allowed to go.
Certainly.
I think that if we really don't have a legislative liaison here, someone who's really pounding the hallways there and only, that is our only advocacy organization. And I think with all the other funding mandates and all that, we need someone there.
You got a better chance than that.
I thought we elected a
Dana.
governor and that would be.
Have we had any success stories from ISAC's lobbying for?
Still working on it.
We have none,
And the Fort Edward
We have none?
Police.
right? I mean, I can't recall of any success stories. And so what are we paying? What's the number here?
Kind of 10,000.
Plus meals.
I asked Melissa before.
Well, That it's probably both of them. I think Nico's in there too, right? I think they're all in the same
Do
line.
we pay NACO, Debbie?
Yes.
Yes, they're all in the same line.
I don't know what
It's probably 7,500 and 1,500 or something this time.
I don't know why we
I
pay
know
NACO.
NICEAG is $9,000 or $10,000 a year. It is.
Oh, I didn't look at the budget. I thought that was your budget number.
I don't see what we get from NACO. Does anyone go to NACO conferences?
I went once. I paid for it myself. But you are limited to what you can do when you're not a member. So that's the reason why we're a member, is so that you can do things. They also had, and we used it a couple, I think we used it a couple of times. Something warehouse, it was there, you could buy off that, just like we do now with the other group. They have their own purchasing. I think it's-
Cooperative?
Yes, it's like Sourcewell, but it's their own, which sometimes is cheaper, but it must be nobody's checking it. You don't know.
I will make a motion not to be a member, and I say, if we find a big loss over the year, we can rejoin again next year.
I second it.
Whoa.
The,
So does that mean I can't go as the chair of the Transportation and Public Works Committee there?
No, because you're at the state level,
They pay for
so
yours.
you'd be fine.
Not, it doesn't affect our. 'cause
I don't know.
Be a
I
member.
don't have an answer on that.
Are you only allowed one person to go with you, or can one of the county guys go with?
If the county's not a member, you wouldn't go.
He might be removed. She might be removed from it entirely. That's a possibility too.
you started?
Upsets on.
Dana Hogan.
Deb, you got any success stories from that?
Our county highway superintendents seem to have we gather there and we do work. What our, but I see you for,
So no?
not huge.
Okay, there you go.
Does that have anything to do with our trips?
No.
Right. It has to do with funding overall, but
For it.
Where did the bride make? Oh, that was from, Lake
Lake
George.
George.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Brian.
Shop in front, now in the back.
Chairman.
not sure, I think we probably all get bounced off the committee. The only thing that I could think of is a financial thing, and no, I can't think of, other than, you know, perhaps if they're influencing the way the budget overall swings, but I don't think that I could point to one thing and say, yes, they, you know, yes, they did this. We do get quite a lot of good data from. And the other thing is, every year, the chairman's gonna go to a training school on whatever the emergency management stuff. And that'd be an extra charge of, I think it's like, when you go to one of those things, it's like $600 or $700. It'd be an extra $600 or $700 has to come out of the chairman's budget to get their annual recertification. So,
Did the assessor's accreditation come out of there? Second.
I don't think so.
State.
No, it comes from
Sometimes,
state.
sometimes some of our lawyers stuff. I know there's some lawyers down there. that
Wait a minute, you can't bail on us.
I'll bail. Yes, aye.
Call the vote.
All in favor of getting out of NICEAG, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No, I don't have enough information. What we
That's where my problem is.
I have to abstain.
I don't think we're even done with discussion.
Right, no, but I think that we would need to know what the lawyers and all that, who's all involved and what comes out of that. I don't know for sure. I only know the part that I work with.
I would like to press them over the next year to start a health insurance for the counties. In health insurance, it's all about numbers. We talked to some guys, couple months ago, and they said it's all about belly buttons. The more belly buttons you have, more negotiating power you have. And if we can press them to look into that and see who's interested in that and go down that road, that's a possible solution to our healthcare.
What really happens with NICEAG, they did it with Mega, they do it with a couple other ones. When they get you all together like that, it's for their benefit and never for ours. Like they tried to get us to sign, I don't know if Bob would remember this, that instead of you being able to choose who your ESCO was, if the county signed, that was everybody's ESCO in the whole county. Which was, I said, there's no way I'd do that to the people in the county. That's not our job to tell you what ESCO you want to get your electricity from. If you'd want to leave NIMO and be with somebody else, or I want to leave NICE, I could do somebody else. So that's usually the problem when they get involved. They've tried to sell us on a couple things here and it was like snake oil salesman. It was like, we just had to say, no, we just can't do it. So I guess that's my biggest problem with NICEAG doing things like that. It's always their benefit and not necessarily ours at the end of the day.
I think that's our opportunity to network with other counties that are in the same situation that we are.
Well, that's usually what we do
And get loud.
when we're there. I mean, that's what we try to do.
Did we vote or are we still discussing?
We're still discussing it.
So why don't we go to the other
We
counties?
did vote on it too, but
And talk to them. I mean,
It's
we
good all in
don't,
one place.
get
well,
three
basically it's
Sixty
failed.
counties. in
Well,
the
we're
same
trying to
place.
figure out more information on it Thursday.
Did it get defeated, Dan?
It got defeated.
It got
but we were-
defeated.
Yeah, I was just trying to figure out if we need more discussion before Thursday. To find out what the
It
lawyers,
got defeated.
you know, the night one.
Not a carry.
No,
No, there was more.
What was the count? I counted, I thought it carried.
well, how many yeses you get? I saw 5 hands, I thought.
Raise your
I
hand.
saw
For
5 hands.
yes.
Yeah, there's
There's
5.
3 on that side, there's 3 on.
I didn't.
Oh, he's going the other
Yeah,
way.
it's 5, yeah.
I did abstain.
I still have to count the yeses as well.
No, I,
That's why I said I wondered if we needed more information, because I'm pretty close to being a no also, but I would like to know more about what their accreditation is and stuff like that as to what it would cost us and to whether that throws Deb right off the group too with.
Well, I'm sure that does, but I'm not sure economically. We could spend $1,000 to train me.
Right.
The pool's there anyway, but it's the same thing.
Is that because you're an old dog?
Next,
You were almost a no. Does that make you a yes?
yeah,
No, what did you vote? Which way?
oh, I voted no.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
but I-
you said almost, so I didn't know if that was something else.
no,
Like,
I get it because with the super majority, they have lost any clout and they'll tell you that. Well, they told Al and I that when we were there. Next. Anything else? Yeah,
I would like to pose a cost analysis for changing the attorney's pay scales and see if we can attract more attorneys to be full-time here and reduce our assigned counsel numbers. If that would be financially beneficial, because I think that could save quite a bit of money.
and that's something that needs to come up at Thursday's meeting, and I don't know if we have any information. It'll come to personnel on the staffing pattern.
I think that Scott's right on that. I think that assigned counsel, just because they have an open checkbook, they're hiring a lot of attorneys that come out of Albany. The clock starts running when they first get here. They're paid all the way up. They come and do whatever they're gonna do. They're paid all the way back. And so they're, if they're getting $200 an hour here to come up on their trips, they come up, they eat their lunch, whatever the case may be, and then they go back.
So
I
that's
think
what,
it may be very much more cost effective.
so that's what's coming to personnel is they wanna hire part-times, cause he thinks he can hire part-times far cheaper
Right.
than that.
Exactly.
And that might be our best outing, even more than raising the set rates,
Well, then
because there's no benefits. There's no
fringes
benefits with
along
them.
the way.
Yeah, so Thursday, you're gonna hear more on that.
Are we gonna have numbers for that for Thursday?
I think he's gotta bring some numbers for that in order, it won't raise his amount of money, cause he's got no full-time to speak of. So it will be within his budget, but he's gonna bring something to us,
I like that.
so. I
Why
just
would
don't
any
know.
part-time attorney come and work there for $60 an hour when they get 158 as a assigned counsel?
He had a reason and I don't understand it myself, so that must be a lawyer thing. Maybe you understand.
Pay too much taxes, that's why.
Well, I mean, obviously, if you can maintain a private practice and also have a steady income, I mean, the year I was conflict defender, it's helpful. It's nice to know that you at least got a base and whatever else you can make is great.
So that's kind of where I think it's coming from, and he's got a couple interested, but he couldn't hire him because there's nothing in the staffing pattern to hire them at.
The state, set that scale of 150 something.
Yeah, and they pay half the increase to $38.
And the increase, actually, the increase was
76, 38 was half, was there?
actually
83.
83, so 4150 was the half they paid.
83, so.
and actually.
So 158,
misdemeanors,
you're
'cause
talking
they
about, you take 83 off that?
That's what it used to be. So it went from
It
75
used to be
to 150.
1675,
Yeah.
and now it's a flat 157,
158.
or 158, excuse me.
And how much do we get back?
How much you get back?
50% of the increase.
Of the increase,
Only the increase, so.
not of the 150.
So we
of the-
get.
41,
Still pay 100 and.
yeah.
Your cost went up 4150 an hour. Unfunded. An hour.
Got the stock. This is one of the-
So
Wayne brought up foster care. Have we dived deep into that? Are we still thinking that the way to go is stay within county?
Dwayne, can you tell us that?
I didn't hear you.
Foster care, you brought up foster care that once, that's a dive deep scenario. So, if I remember correctly, we have two that. That would lost the majority of the budget.
And you can't,
Can you?
that's gonna happen. That's,
So we didn't certify for quite a number of years. We let. What's it, Berkshire do it? And so that's what we're saying is we could still have Berkshire do it. It's not like we were able to,
you still have to pay admin.
yeah, we were never able to leave Berkshire anyway, so. It's, but we don't really need to designate people to do that if we can get someone else to do it.
I mean, the thing is, if we've got somebody else buying the home, it doesn't count, even if it comes to kinship, it's still. It can be cost saving, from the people we've got flowing with the system. Also,
Which is not at all.
I haven't been able to take a real deep dive.
Right.
You just, you can use workers.
Yeah.
We can
Thank
say
you.
a little bit, or a little bit.
Anything else? Made a lot of progress.
We did.
Is there anything else? Come before the board. We're adjourned.
Real numbers.
Thank you.
You had,